Well, when you were living there in Short at Andy Rogers' place, and those 3 different homes that you lived in there, were you in farming, or
No, I was
what was the community like?
just a kid then. I was just going to school. About all the whole area was farmed in cotton and corn. And all the land that was in cultivation was planted in cotton and corn.
Yeah. So your dad was farming then?
He was sharecropping.
Sharecropping.
Yeah.
Was it?
That meant he done the work, and the man that furnished the team and the land and everything got a share, and he got a share.
Do you think it was equitable, the kind of relationships that?
No, I think the poor man had the bad deal. But whenever that's all they could do, well, that's all they could do.
Was Andy Rogers the landowner at that time and for that?
Yeah, he was.
For that area. So when you moved from the Hagen's place over there, well, when you were at Hagen's place, you said he was the owner of the house. Was he also the owner of the land, and your dad was working for the?
No,
Mr. Hagen?
Now I was married when I was at the Hagen's place.
I see.
And he furnished the land, and I furnished my team and everything, and he got rent from the land. See. What I made, I didn't make very much when I lived there, for the land was poor, and we had 2 or 3 droughts while we lived there, and I just didn't accumulate anything.
Was most of the area cleared off at the time?
Yeah. Just about all of it that's in cultivation now, or in pasture rather, was cleared off at that time.
Where that was, do you ever recall the river getting up that high and washing the topsoil, or it's just poor for?
I guess it was just farmed to death in the rains that eventually washed it off.
Was the place an old place at the time, like people had been working it for a long time?
For years and years.
Yeah. It hadn't recently been cleared.
No, it was an old place at that time.
Were you using fertilizers or anything at that time? Did you have cattle?
I just had 2 or 3 milk cows. As far as I know, it might have been fertilized closer to town and around, but as far as I'm concerned, there wasn't any fertilized then, nothing, only just barnyard fertilized.
Yeah.
And if there had been, I'd have been too poor to have bought it. I just had to went ahead and farmed it just like it was.
I guess you were using, did you have machines at the time to help you?
No. Just walking plows. Was all.
You have a mule help you?
Yeah, 2 mules.
2 mules. So when you moved over to Minnie Wheeler's place near Seabolt Cemetery, was that farmland there? Or?
Yeah, same way. We farmed it in corn. I believe I had a team of horses then. I know I did. 2 horses.
How many acres were you working with?
Oh, I don't know. I guess it was, I'll say 15 maybe.
And at the Tom Hagen's and Winnie Rogers, was it, did you increase in your acres, or were you sort of work about the same amount of land?
When I lived on Winnie Rogers' place, see, I wasn't married. I was a child.
And your dad was working the land?
That's right. And when we moved on Tom Hagen's place, why, I was head of the family then. I was trying to farm about 25 acres.
Was most of the land, the amount of land that a man could farm at the time, was it sort of limited to his how many horses he had,
Yeah,
or how
and
much land? Or?
a lot of times it was. A lot of times it was kind of limited to his family. If he had a big family, why he usually farmed way more acres. And, of course, he had help, but if he did it all himself, why uh, he couldn't farm quite so many. Or he just had to farm what he could plow over, pretty easy, about once every 10 days or something like that.
So, with horses and mules, what would have been a large family farm? How many acres would that have been? You know, if a man had
A large family?
8 kids,
Well,
4 boys, 4 girls.
I'd say 50 acres would have been a big crop for anybody,
Yeah.
any family. And from that down to 10 to 15.
Huh.
But I'd say 50 acres would have been a big crop for, just a country family lived out in the country.
Yeah.
They might have farmed more than that. No, I don't think one family would have farmed more than that anywhere.
Without hiring other folks to help.
That's right.
So when you moved from the, well, what year did you get married? You can put sort of get an idea what time we're talking about.
December the 4th and 25.
So that means that, and during 25 or thereafter, 1925, then you would have been in short at the Tom Hagen's.
Been all in these here places that I'm telling you about around where I live.
All right. So after the Minnie Wheeler place near the Seabelt Cemetery, then you moved up to Scratch Out area. Is that right?
Right.
Uh-huh. Were they farming that area also? What kind of?
Just a small farm. I'll say 12, 14 acres.
Uh-huh. Was it?
A branch bottom land.
Yeah.
It was pretty good land, but it burned awful fast. Whenever it come a little drought, it burned up.
Uh-huh. How many people were up there in that same vicinity? How many families?
Well, there was right there close. There was just you might say one family, Lord Fraser, and then
He would be down the creek a ways?
no, it would be up the creek.
He would be up the creek further.
And another family was John Reed, and another family was Bill Reed. And then over close to the New Hope, there was Fog Silk and Pone Silk and another man, I forget what his name was. Hell, what was that man's name there that on that lived there where you went in that cellar when it was storming? Up there close to New Hope, on the hill there, close to Scratch Out. Homer Johns, John Silk, and that's about all it was. And that.
And were they working the bottomlands of Polecat Creek up there?
No, they most of them wasn't even farming at all. Now, Pone Silk, I guess, farmed some land back over west of where he lived. That there was more or less prairie land back where he was farming. I don't know what he farmed, or how much, or anything about it.
How many years did you end up living there before you moved on out?
Well, we first we lived there 1 year, and then we moved from there back up on the Francis Woody place, and moved from the Woody place back down there, and we lived there 4 or 5 years. The second time we lived there.
Give it a good second try then.
Yeah. I thought whenever we moved out of there that I never did want to see the place anymore. But after I got away, where I got to study, and I think we was having better luck there than I thought.
Yeah. What were some of the problems like putting up with Polecat Creek on the bottom?
All the creek wasn't so much in the way as the wife had a lot of sickness in the operations and things.
I see.
That kind of disgusted me, you know.
Yeah.
After we lived out, why it didn't help it any. So I guess we was better off there than I thought.
Are there any folks living up there now?
I don't know. I think there's a lady lives there. I was just about 4 o'clock. I got to take the little girl over right in that community to a little birthday party. And I think if I have good luck, I'll drive down and see the place where we live. I never have been back since moved.
Would that have been a log house or a frame house?
It was a frame house. I think there was. I believe there was just 3 rooms there, but it was a frame house. 2 ordinary large rooms, and then an extra large room from across on one side of both the other rooms. We had plenty of room. I can't gripe about the room we had there.
Several of your children born there?
No, there wasn't none of them born there.
Were the children born previous to moving there, or before and after?
Before and one after.
I see. Well, after living there on Polecat for 1 year, then you moved to Francis Woody's place up south of Polecat Creek. We try farming once again up on his land?
Well, yeah, but it didn't do no good up there either.
What do you consider as having done good in farming in those days? What would it have taken?
Well, I think if a feller don't raise enough to have a surplus to sell, to accumulate a little money, he ain't done no good. And that's what I didn't do. I didn't raise a surplus to have any to sell, so I didn't figure I'd done any good.
Did you finally do good the second time you went back to Polecat? 4 and 5 years?
Well, not really. But I think we done a little better than we did the first time.
Was the land already cleared at that time, or did you?
Yeah, it's already cleared.
It's already cleared. Did you know the folks that may have cleared it before you?
Well, I think Arthur Shahan that lived there before we did, I think he cleared part of the land.
So was it very old land in regards to the amount of crops that had gotten off of it?
No, it is fairly fresh land. But like I explained to you a while ago, it was gravelly, just shallow top dirt and then gravel under there. And it didn't take it long until the drought to sea would burn it and hinder it. But we done fairly good there, I guess. We raised quite a little stuff.
So from up on Polecrat, then you moved here.
Well, the boys, they farmed the most of it after we moved here. They done reasonably good. The woman, she got had the operations, and I had to stay, you might say, right in the house. I didn't get to farm.
Yeah.
Here the boys done farming, you might say, here. They done reasonably well.
How much land did you use for farming right here at this location?
I guess it's about 30, 35 acres. It's over in the creek bottom.
On the other side? Did you farm this land right here?
No, this didn't belong to the boy then. It belonged to a fellow by the name of Haggard. That little field right out there,
To the north.
they had it in strawberries part of the time, and then they pastured it the rest of the time. It's just right there, close to have a cow in there, and they just pastured it.
Did your sons ever farm those 35 acres and then lease other areas?
No, they just farmed it. And whenever they'd get to farm, crops laid by, where they'd go to Kansas or somewhere and work in the harvest.
What were they farming most often?
Corn. Yeah, it was corn.
Last week you were mentioning about your dad's place, Joe Howell place up there on Reeder Bluff. And you mentioned it.
Across from the Reeder Ford, back
north.
up that way.
Uh-huh.
Well, he farmed corn, mostly some cotton, but mostly corn. Whenever I was at home, helping with the crop. A lot of times, he rented land different places to put in cotton. Sometimes he rented some up on the Montgomery place back up there, and had a corn crop up there one year. He done fairly well, I guess, farming. He kept his grocery bills paid and fed his team and all, and that's about all they did at that time.
How many years did you stay there at his place? Or, where does that...
I lived there with him before I married. Well, if I ain't mistaken, we moved there in 1919, and I stayed there until 1923, when I married.
So, when your dad moved into Oklahoma the first time, was it the Andy Rogers place that he moved into for the first time?
As far as I can remember, it was. Yeah. I don't remember where the snow place was in Arkansas, but I rather believe it was. The bowling place, I think they was both in Arkansas. And we moved to the Andy Rogers place, I'm pretty sure. It was the first time I ever remember being in Arkansas.
So where were you born? Which of these places?
I was born on the Tom Comstock place over in
That's
Arkansas.
right. Yeah. Okay. Last week you mentioned a little bit of when your dad purchased that property up there, up on North of Reeder Bluff. Which folks did he purchase it from? You mentioned the family.
Let me think. Jones, Chester Jones.
Yeah. And they had were they farming that area, and then they were moving out?
They went from there, I believe, to White Rock or White River or something or other. I know my father taking a wagon and team and helped to move a load over there.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they called it White Rock or White River or something, but I know he left that community whenever he moved from there. Why he left the community and then later on moved back.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Well, when living in that area, the north side of Lees Creek, in the Oakdale area, was there a community? Was it just a dispersed community, or was there a central part of the town, or was there a town?
No, I don't know. I guess it was just kind of, I guess you would call it the Oakdale community. That was the closest school. And where the closest church was. And I guess that's what they call Oakdale vicinity.
There wasn't any commercial buildings?
No.
How about sawmills?
Well, let me see where the nearest sawmill was at that time. I believe way in Deadman Hall.
What about blacksmiths?
Over here short. Yeah, that was our closest blacksmith.
And was that the blacksmith down on Short Branch, or was there another one?
No, it's down there close to the branch.
And is it how is it in relation to where the old store was and the cotton gin?
It was kind of between the old store and the cotton gin. Let's see, let me. I guess it would have been. It seems to me like it ought to have been kind of west to the store building.
Who was the blacksmith?
I couldn't tell you.
What role did your dad have then? He had worked at a gin in Arkansas. When he came here to Oklahoma and Short, did he help out there?
Yep. He went back over. A lot of times he walked it. Boy, there was rough times part of that time for us, I'll tell you for sure. Rough times. Hard working little fellows.
Was that how was that cotton gin there in Short? How was it operated?
Steam.
Steam. Were they cutting wood from the surrounding trees?
Surrounding areas.
Did they have a boiler?
Big.
How many people did it take to really get it working good?
Well, I can't tell you exactly. I don't. I think, though, it taken about 4. think the fireman, the one that fired the boiler, put wood in to make the steam, I think that's about all he done. And then the engineer, he operated the steam part on the engine, and the other parts, mechanical parts and things. Well, then the grinding the corn, there was usually two there. One dipping meal, and the other one measuring up the corn. See, whenever you take your corn there to have it ground, why, they taking what they call a toll out. That was to pay for having your corn ground, see? Well, one dip meal and the other, he measured the corn and taken out so much toll and then poured the corn up in the hopper and it fell down in the ground. It taken about as well as I can remember to operate.
Yeah. How much was the toll normally?
I think my father told me the proper amount of toll out of a bushel of corn was a gallon.
That was before it was ground?
1/8. It seems to me like that's what he told me was the proper amount of toll that they're taking out.
What was your dad's role in operating the mill?
Mostly, usually was pouring up the corn and taking the toll, pouring it in. Yeah, he taking most of the toll.
So the folks that worked there and operated the gin, were they paid cash or were they given?
I don't know how they got their pay. I just wouldn't attempt to tell you. I don't know if they was paid cash or how they was paid.
You know whose gin that may have been?
Is the first that I can tell you to be accurate was Branson, Jim Branson. Now it was running a long time before that, but who was in charge or who owned it then, I won't attempt to tell you. I don't know.
Was it an old machine at the time that you?
I think it was a pretty old machine at the time, and maybe that Branson taken it over. But he was the first man that I really know, that owned.
When they were doing the cotton gin part of the work, was the people, did they take a toll of the cotton also?
No, I don't. I can't explain that, but I think they paid cash for that. After they sold the cotton, they paid so much cash, or maybe they gin part of it for the seed, the cotton seed, that come out. I know they gin part of it that way, but I think a lot of them reclaimed the seed, you see, and paid cash for having the gin. But I don't know how much cash they paid or anything else.
People in short, where would they take the cotton to be sold? Where would their market go?
Most of the time they're taking it to Van Buren. Sometimes they're taking it to Alman, sometimes Fort Smith. I understand sometimes Salisal, but most of it went to Van Buren. It seemed like they had a better cotton market in Van Buren than any other place.
Was there a dealer that would come through, or the dealer stayed there in Van Buren and people?
No, they stayed.
Wagoned it.
They had a marketplace down there. The people, whenever they hauled the cotton there, it was all done in on wagons and teams, and they drove on a lot there with their cotton, see. And these buyers, they went around and checked each man's cotton and told him what he paid for it. And that's where it was operated. And later on, why, these here buyers, they had an office. And they sent a guy out to get a sample of your cotton. And he put it in a little thing about half as long as that, looked kind of in a roll, kind of like that. He stuffed that cotton in there and wrote your name and number of the bale and how much the bale weighed on it. And then he took it to the office. And if you wanted him to buy it, like you went there and got your check, or if you wanted somebody else to buy it, you went and got your roll and took it to another dealer in another office. And that's the way it was operated, I guess, till they quit selling. Oh, we got so bad, you know, it just completely kept the farmer from operating only in the bottom when it was big farms so they could spray. The little farmer couldn't afford to buy the spraying equipment to spray just the little farms. So they just had it.
When did the boll weevil start coming up?
That's about 19. It didn't take them long after they started to let them completely run the farm out. Stop. I've seen acres and acres of wood. So it's time you
So how many years would it have taken for the cotton farmers to pretty much go out of business? You know, once that boll weevil hit.
Oh, I don't know, but I don't think there was anybody tried over the second year.
Yeah.
I
One
think
bad year did it.
This the first year you might say done it.
Yeah.
Some tried it the second, but no more after that. They just seen it was a complete failure. Just I'll say 2 years is completely wiped it out.
Was there any lands in the Lee Creek area that were big enough for the farmer to afford the insecticide at that time?
Well, at that time, they might have been, if one man would have owned it all, but usually it was cut up in pieces like this here. Land there after you cross the bridge, going back that other way, you see. They was
from Lee's Creek Bridge going east.
There were 3 or 4 people on that at that time. See, and just one of them wasn't big enough, and I don't know. I guess they just couldn't get together anymore. Not many of them, I guess, was able to start anyhow after they fell so hard after the boll weevils did hit.
Well, did they go to planting one single crop after that, or what? They still had the land and they were still farmers. What did they do?
Part of them planted corn a while, and then part of them just completely quit. Just turned it over. Planted hay and tried to run a few cattle. Maybe go someplace else to work, you know, part time.
Yeah. Was there? People starting to sell their land at that time?
A lot of them sold it, and a lot of them just rented out to people that had cattle, you know, for pasture. Moved to town and went to work, and part of them rented it out and went to town and went to work. Gave water.
Now, they didn't go around the sleeper now.
It wasn't hardly any farming after they quit farming cotton. Why, you might say,
Lordy, mercy, mercy, mercy.
Stop the farm. A few went ahead and raised, that had quite a few cattle, went ahead and raised corn and hay. But if they didn't have quite a few cattle, they just quit. Rent the farms out and went different places.
I had $117 on that first life gym purchase, just bad down as big.
You know, the cigarette place is right across here where, close to where Black Fox is buried. And then there's 2 brown places way out on top of that mountain.
2 brown? 2 different families?
Cy Brown and Wiley Brown. They, I don't know if they
If he's heard anything about
cleared that
Dan
mountain
Carter
off or
place
not,
to
but
him.
there's right smart cleared areas up in there. I don't know if the Browns cleared that off or whether it was cleared off when they went there. But it's been years ago since they went there. I don't know how many, but it's been, I'd say 45, 50 years, maybe longer than that. I don't know.
Oh, before that time, the Coppic Road went on up that way. Was there a lot of people living up there?
Oh, there's quite a few, all the way up. There was a strip up in there from where the Browns lived up to about what they call Pater Hill, a place in there of about 6 miles that there wasn't any settlement in there. But then after you pass beyond that, then you get over in the Stillwell community, and over in there, lots of people lives in there.
Well, did you ever, was there ever a road south of Coppic Slab and Nikett going across the creek and up over on the
There
mountain?
was a road one time that come in right through here somewhere or another and across the creek and over there.
Right down there by Walmay's house.
And then there was a road
That just went to that house over there.
came out right around this here little field out here and went up that way and across the slab and then back up that way. That's the only roads that I know of. There was a road down from the other side of the creek coming in from what they call Oakdale, coming in over there to the places, but that was the only two outlets that I knew anything about.
Well, up on, this is Flanagan Mountain right here?
Well, we always call that the Flanagan Mountain. Tom Flanagan lived there years and years ago. Well, then Olin Flanagan, he lived over here, close to the Coppic School.
Well, that was the Mitch Flanagan place.
And a lot of
Olin's
people
daddy.
calls that the Flanagan place over there. And a lot calls this the Flanagan place. So if you ain't familiar to which one they're talking about, why, you get confused.
Did Tom Flanagan live up on the top of that mountain?
Oh, yeah, right up on top of it.
Was he farming?
He raised his first
Yeah,
family
he's
up there.
a farmer and rancher, raised stock. I guess he was pretty well off at one time.
Well, him and his second wife lived up there too, because Thule was his wife when I was up there, when I was going to school up here.
I guess he was
They had
pretty well off.
2 or
at one
3
time.
girls.
He owned this here property all in here one time, and this year, and that over in there.
To the southwest? That, to the other side of that Coppic Church Road, or this side, or all the way back that
Well,
way?
plumb across the some over on the other side. Now, whenever I first come to this community, there wasn't no road up yonder. That wasn't there. It was this one right here. And it went up there and across the creek, down this side of where the slab is, and went right up the creek, and then crossed it again, and come out way up towards the Bradley Ford up yonder. There wasn't no road here at all. That road there was put there along about WPA days. I don't know just when it was.
So in order for people to get from Nikett to Stillwell,
They come up this way.
this way, but was there a way to go west over through Logout Mountain?
Well, there was WPA.
Put that one in also?
They put that in also.
The Indians, I thought, put that into.
Well, they did, but put it in WPA days. For if you notice, what few of them are culvert is cement. There's a WPA stamped on each one of them. Yeah, he just put through there.
Well, I remember when there wasn't no road up there, and I know Papa was the first person that ever took a car over that road when Burnside did there.
This one up here.
Keep from crossing these two Ford crews.
When was that bridge, that suspension bridge across Coppic slab, North of Coppic slab there? Do you recall that?
That swinging bridge?
A piece of cement slab there where there was a...
1919. That was... They was building that when we left here and went.
That's what I was going to tell you. She would know more about that than I was, where I wasn't too familiar with this part of the country over here at that time. I lived over on...
He had never met me.
On Big Lee's Creek, and I didn't come over this way. That's too far to ride a horse, and that's the only way I had to go.
But now I'm pretty sure that pillar that's standing up there, if it's still there, it's got 1919 on it.
Is that right?
Well, it's there, and it'll be
the
there
that we left
the next generation if somebody don't destroy it.
And when we got back here, they had the swing bridge done. Now this slab that's across this board up here was here a long time after Stanley bought it.
It is put there about when 50s.
I don't know when, but I know when we lived there.
When did the suspension bridge go out, become too dangerous to use?
I don't know when it went out. It completely went out.
Oh, washed it out.
When the creek got up so big,
What year did they only graduate?
I don't know that.
Pretty sure
Logs
it was
and
69.
things come down and they'd hang against it when the water got up to it, you see. Well, when enough of them got on to it, why, they were just
It was
enough
58 or
pressure.
59 one, the other that
It just pulled them wire out from this other side over here and washed the whole thing.
Was the bridge big enough for wagon, or was it just footbridge?
Oh,
no,
just
it's footbridge.
footbridge. Just for people to walk across.
One thing made it swing down slow, there'd be so many people get on it, jump up and down, and cut all kinds of shines on it. Wonder they hadn't broke it down.
No,
Got
you
it
had to take a lot of
swayed
weight
so
to
in the middle
rope,
and
Was it rope or metal cable?
steel cables.
it washed out one time and they refixed it. Put the cables,
There was two steel cables,
bridge back on
under
the
it,
cable,
and then
put another
two
bridge
steel
on the
cables
cable.
over it and
And
tied
last
from the
time,
bottom
boy, it
ones
just
up to
took
the
it off.
top ones, see, in several
Them
places.
cement post on it.
Both, all four cables supported.
That cement pillar on this side, is it still there or did it wash down?
Out on this side, washed down, slid off in the creek, and some guy, I know his name, I can think of it, he chiseled that cement out and taken that them railroad railings out of it. Part of the stonework is still up there in the creek. You
Well,
can
now,
still
that
see it.
pillar across the creek, is it still standing? What, I ain't been long there and so long, I don't know what.
Yeah, it's still standing. It'll be there from now on if somebody don't destroy it.
Who built it?
I guess it's the people here in the community.
I imagine the county had it built.
Donated it probably. No, I think just the people in the community built it.
There used to be one up that other Ford there, or still Ford, second one.
See, there was
But
a
it was
lot of
a
people
long time
lived
before
down in
this
here.
was built.
I say a lot of people, several people live down in here, and their children went to school up there, and the time the creek was up, or if they didn't, somebody go take them across the creek, that's all the way they had to get across the creek was across that bridge. And I'm pretty sure it's people that, lived in here, just all went in together and built.
What was the area of Coppic when people were talking? when they say Coppic, what does that mean? Or what did it
Well,
mean?
I would imagine it referred from the Bradley Ford to the top of this here mountain down here, to the top of that mountain here.
What's the name of the mountain to the south?
Beauty. And all of them from there, you might say, went the other way.
Uh-huh.
So I just imagine that there would be about the dividing area. And all back up in here was Coppic till you get way back towards the breaks of the Little Round Mountain. Was all called Coppic area.
What about to the west?
Well, quite a ways back over in there, a mile or so, where the children all went over here to school.
Were many people living out further to the west here?
Oh, well, quite a little ways over there. You haven't been up that way to speak of?
I have been driving that way, but I haven't.
You haven't been off of the road?
Right.
Well, the biggest part of them lives off of the road. If you haven't been off the by roads from the main road, why, you didn't see some in your Well, you seeing if we got time?
Well, the people you're referring to, are they still, what I meant was people many years ago when it was Coppic and Coppic School, was there a good population of folks up to the west of here?
Pretty fair.
Yeah.
See, after we moved here, it was, I don't know.
Past Old Gulf, they went to Rock.
Oh, way back
They didn't
down
come
they
to Rock.
did, but the most of them back over here now, they come over here.
Had you ever heard of a town called Swimmer?
Swimmer. I can't say that it is. Where was that supposed to be?
Well, we found old maps indicating a community marked on the map called Swimmer, which is up Little Lee's Creek. I guess 3 or 4 miles as the creek turns back to the west and then turns north. Well, it's right on where the creek is going east-west, just south of the creek there. But not too many people even know of that anymore.
Well, now, I was going to say that I don't know of it, but there's some swimmers that used to live back up, Indians that used to live back in there.
Yeah.
That's probably what they was referring to. Maybe a church or a little town or something back up there long years ago.
Family settlement.
But now there was a post office back up there. What was the name of that post office up there, Ella? At Salem. Way back up there. And community in there, big school there. But that Swimmer, I don't know anything about that. That was before my time, or I just never did hear of it or something. But I did hear of some Indians living up in there by a swimmer, named Swimmer. But that'd be all I would know about. What time you got now?
10 till 3. What time do you need to be leaving?
Well,
Three hands live here.
Just prior to when we lived here. And the wife was sitting on the back porch, her and maybe some more of the children, and one of the little boys come to the door or went around there where she was. The front door was just about where that door is, the best I remember. And he come running around there and says, Mama, says they hit water, and that water's coming right towards the front door. She said, oh, you just joking. No, I ain't. That water's coming right towards the front door. And she got up and come around here to the front door. There wasn't, but
now, who was this, your hands?
Howell.
Oh.
Howell. And that boy, he grabbed him an old hoe. You see, that water was just spreading out there, you know. He grabbed him an old hoe and made a little old stream down that way. And all poor night, why, he dug out a pretty good sized hole there, basement, and that water running in and out of it. And she says, oh, says, I know now, I'll keep milk in that and keep it cool. He said, no, you won't. Says, I'm a digging this to wash my feet. Yeah.
So
You've been here, I've been here, it'll be 16 years this fall.
We had a lot of hard luck here and had a lot of good times. I thought whenever I left here, thanks to myself, I never in my life want to see that place again. And you know, I wasn't out of here 3 weeks till I was wanting to come back and see what it looked like.
Well, when we moved here, there wasn't a whole lot of water there in that well, you know. They told us that it used to be artesian.
It did?
And so, actually when you'd wash, you'd drop dry. You know?
Yeah.
So we decided to have it drilled deeper, so we had it drilled 15 feet deeper. And before he got through, the water come over the top of the well. It's been running out of sun. But
Well,
we capped it off, you know, and it, of course, the casing is busted, then it oozes out.
it comes
it's
out this
still
pipe.
running.
Where does it go to? Where's the outlet from the pipe? Out yonder somewhere?
Well, he put a drain pipe in here, you know, so it wouldn't collect inside. See, and it comes out here.
Oh, yeah, I see the water.
And this stays wet along here. See, that's...
Yeah, I remember that old cellar being there now.
Well, there used to be a house place. There used to be an old house on the other side of this house here. There's a high hump there. And Teddy Vince told us a long time ago that there was a house there and there was a drill well back out that way.
Well, that was before I remember it, I guess. I don't remember no house place there. Right along there is just about where the house sat.
Yeah.
Best I remember.
Well, Bearden told us it sat right there where that was.
I know that.
that looks like a pretty old building right there.
Yeah, it is. The old Stagecoach Road goes, see that big tree there?
Yes,
Well, it goes right there, just on this side of it. It runs just inside this fence right there and goes out there. Then around and down the creek. And
back
out.
down the creek, doesn't it?
You remember the watering hole? It's right down there.
Well, now down yonder, you remember where that little bluff is way down yonder?
That's to the
Down
south.
Below the second watering hole?
Yes, They they tell me that there was a mail carrier killed down there and put in that bluff, and they found him later on.
So which stage line was this? Was it coming from Nyket?
I don't know.
Going...
I guess it's the same one that come through from Short and over in there.
I don't know where it went to from here. Did you? Bacon's?
Out through Bacon's, I suppose.
So how much land were you farming here?
Not very much. There's a little bit down here in this field and then a little bit on top of the mountain.
Do you remember where you had your garden when you lived here? Grace Bange told me, she said, Miss Howell told me that was the best garden spot there ever was. And it's that right
I believe it's right there.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's a sap in the ground to an extent, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Were these trees even here when you...
I suppose they were there, but not nothing like that. I know our old car was forever having the batteries run down. We didn't run enough to keep the batteries up. And we'd back it way up yonder towards that road, you know. And to start it, we'd roll it off that hill, see, coming down this way. That's usually the way we got it started. Okay, honey, we got plenty of time. You don't mind us looking around, do you, and asking questions? And
Tom, when you lived here, was that road where it is today, or did you come up the creek?
No, it was somewhere near about where it is part of the way up. I made it biggest part of the way up that hill. We came in this way from up at the Scratch Out Schoolhouse. When we moved in, we came up the holler with wagon and team. I doubt you get down there now with horseback.
I don't know. You know, I think that ranch has goes to the road. Every now and then I can hear cars just right down across the street from here.
Sure.
And they come down and talk to them. And I've not been over there. I suppose they've got a road. But they did go the road. It's comes off right down here to this watering hole. And in the wintertime they come down here.
They probably did that so the cattle could come down there to get the water into them salt rocks.
Did you have a barn when you?
Our barn was way out yonder.
On the other side of the hill? That'd be to the north.
Now there's an old road that goes. Seemed to me like Miss Cole said that they had this road built from here to the highway when they lived here. I mean, after they moved here.
They might have had it, overhauled. But we was going out that way with a car before we left here.
Well, there's an old road that after you cross this, where this water crosses road right down there, you know.
Right around yonder?
But there's an old road that goes through the pasture and it goes back out to
it seems to me like it'd be about 1.5 miles or 2 miles, wasn't it, or was it?
I don't believe it'd be that far. There's, now two scratch outs. But I was thinking about, you know where Florida Crater place is. Well, that's the place I was thinking about.
Yeah, Floyd.
Probably two scratch outs.
Listen, we don't get acquainted with him and his folks.
They lived in his road, but I know he's.
Oh, may read that 100 years from now.
Well, today's June 29th, and I'm sitting here with Tom Howell, and going to recall a little bit of Oklahoma history. Yeah, several generations ahead may be listening to this tape and just think back to those times.
That's right. Well, I go back, I guess, about my limit, pretty near 70. I went to 70, but I like this, the little bit of having the 10 put in.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible said was allotted to man, was 70, and I went my 3 and 4 on the 10, so I ain't got much longer allotted to me yet.
Huh. So what year were you born?
1904.
Uh-huh. And you were born just a little bit over there in Arkansas.
Over in the edge of Arkansas, just a little ways in the edge of Arkansas. North of Uniontown, about, I'll say, 6 or 8 miles. Between Uniontown and Natural Dam.
Whose place was that your family lived at that time?
Tom Comstock.
Was it his property or was it his?
His
house?
I understand it was his property and his house, his land and his house. His land that the house was built on.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Was your dad working for him at that time?
Yes. Yeah, he worked for him for several years. I don't know just how many years, but he worked for him. And he also worked for the Comstock Brothers. He run the cotton gin for about 14 years. And also the grist mill. And the Comstock Brothers owned the mill and the gin at that time.
Uh-huh. And where was that mill?
It was at Uniontown, Arkansas.
And so your dad was working there in Uniontown and living
Over in
north there.
north. Well, he worked some while he was living over in Oklahoma after he moved to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He still went back and worked over there during the time he was in Oklahoma and Arkansas too.
Uh-huh.
I think he said he missed one Saturday in 14 years that he didn't grind meal.
Uh-huh.
Now that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
One Saturday in 14 years.
How much of a year, how many days of a year would they grind corn?
Well, usually one day on Saturday. Sometimes they had so much they couldn't get ground on Saturday, well then they'd have to go back on Monday and finish up.
Even during the winter, the people would bring their corn and they would grind enough for the
next week or maybe 2 weeks or something like that. And then in cotton season, why they worked 5 days at the gin and cotton, and 1 day at the mill grinding corn. So after cotton season, why they just ground corn. That was the only time that they worked at the gin. And see, the gin and the mill was combined.
Yeah.
One engine, the steam engine, run the whole outfit. Mm-hmm. But they couldn't hardly gin and grind meal at the same time. Mm-hmm. Or they just had, I guess they could have, but it was a little bit too much on the engine to pull the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know how powerful a steam engine is. I don't know if they more so stronger than a gasoline engine or not, but I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were. Mm-hmm.
What was your dad's name?
Joe.
Joe. Was the and your mom's name?
Minnie.
Where was Joe brought up? Your dad?
I really think he was born and raised till he was up quite nearly of age in Missouri. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I don't know, till he came to Arkansas just before he married. I don't know what part of the country he was in. Mm-hmm.
You know if he had sisters?
I know he had one brother and 2 sisters.
Uh-huh. Which was the oldest?
Oh, well, I really believe he was. I think he is older than either the brother or the sisters either. But I can't tell you his age unless I would go hunt up his old marriage license. Would that be necessary? If it will, I can find them.
That'll be all right for now. But where is he buried?
Over here in Arkansas. Macedonia. They call it.
What is his brother and sister's name?
Marion was his brother's name, and Molly was one of his sister's names, and Haley was the other sister's name. But I'm sure they was all younger than he was. I think he was the oldest child.
You know what order they would be in?
No, I wouldn't attempt to say that, for I don't know.
And were they in Arkansas also, or did Joe come from Arkansas?
I
Missouri?
imagine it's, as far as I know, they spent the most of their life in Arkansas.
Uh-huh.
Pretty sure they did.
Did they ever come to Oklahoma?
Oh, yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Well, was either Haley or Marion or Molly, did they settle in this area at all?
Marion, his brother, he died over there close to, just being above Short there. You know where the Lee Waters place is?
I don't believe I do.
Well, you know where the Eck McKenzie place is? Well, it's just about a quarter north and a quarter east from the Eck McKenzie place where Marion died, and Molly, she died at near Cedarville,
Uh-huh.
and Haley died at Tahlequah.
You know about approximate year when they passed
No,
away?
I wouldn't attempt to. Wouldn't attempt to tell that, for I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be way off either way.
Did he marry a person from this area? Being he lived over there in Short?
Well, he married, but I don't even know when he married, who he married, or his marriage, I understand, didn't last long. He didn't live with his wife for just a short time.
Did he have any children in his lifetime?
No.
Did either Molly or Haley, did they ever live in this area then? Married?
No.
Bring up family?
No.
In the Lee Creek area?
No, they never, neither one of them lived nowhere near Lee Creek. Molly, she lived around Van Buren and Cedarville and around in the Arkansas area all the time. And Haley, she went to Tulsa and from Tulsa to, I can't think of the name. Let me ask the woman.
Yeah.
Eller, where was it that ain't Haley and Charles and them moved way down in yonder somewhere or another? I don't know if it's over in Arkansas. No. After the boys got practically grown. Well, they went somewhere else during that time, but I don't know. I know she lived in Tulsa and back to Tahlequah is about all I can say for sure.
All right. Your grandfather's first name, he would be...
Let's wait now. I have to study. George.
And your grandma? On your
Mary.
dad's side? Mary? And what would her given or married name?
No, I wouldn't attempt to do that, for I don't know.
All right. Would you happen to know your great-great-parents? Or
No, I don't.
no? Or how about George Howell's brothers and sisters?
No.
You ever heard of any?
No, I never heard it. You know, I kind of explained that to you the other day. Yeah. That's as far back as I know.
All right. I was just inquiring. Putting it down in print here.
Well, that's fine, but if I could answer it, but I can't.
All right. Your mother's, what was her name?
Maiden name?
Her maiden name.
Collins.
And was she, where did she and Joe meet? They met in Arkansas?
Well, they must have, for I think that her aunt raised her. Her mother died while she was quite young, and her aunt raised her, and all I know of is they lived around Siloam Springs, her aunt and them, so I suppose that's where she was raised, around Siloam Springs. Anyhow, that's where she married at, in Benton County, close to Siloam Springs.
I see. You know your grandmother or your grandfather's name on your mother's side? Mr. Collins?
No, I don't know. He died or something or another when she was just very young. I never heard her even mention his name.
What about your mother's aunt that brought her up?
Janie, I believe, was her first name, but I can't tell you the last one.
Do you have any aunts and uncles on your mother's side?
I had a half uncle. She had a half brother by the name of Lewis. And his father's name was Steve.
Steve? So they would have the same mother in common but a different father?
No.
Making them half brothers and sisters?
Now, wait, let me see if I can get that straight. Well, probably the dead. Probably the dead.
Was there any other aunts and uncles on your mom's side that you can recall?
No, I can't. That's it. That's all I got.
All right.
See, that runs back quite a few days.
Yeah. So Minnie Collins, your mother, she never was in Oklahoma until she came with your dad.
Not that I know of. Not till they moved here, and I don't know what year that was, but it'd go back before statehood.
Was there any other brothers and sisters of yourself?
My brothers and sisters? Yeah, I had, let me see. There was 4 of us boys, and two of the girls, I guess, that lived to be grown had one sister to die when she was young. But 2 of the girls lived to be grown and married and raised a family, and all 4 of us boys married and got families.
So you had 4 brothers, or you had 3 brothers?
3 brothers beside us.
Which brother would be the oldest?
Willie. I don't know what his age was, but he got into World War I. I know that.
Yeah.
He spent almost 2 years in Germany.
Did he come? Was he raised here in the Lee Creek area?
Yeah.
You were.
I think he was born near about Siloam Springs, maybe in Siloam Springs, but he spent most of his life in Lee Creek area.
Yeah, about how much older was he than yourself?
Oh, he was quite a bit. There was two girls between me and him, and run around 2 or 3 years difference in our ages. So I'll say there was 10 years between our ages, maybe more than that. But there was anyhow that much.
Mm-hmm. What was the next oldest child in the family? Was it a boy or a girl?
A girl, Pearl. And the next one was Ole. O-L-A.
O-L-A? She was the third child in the family then. Or she's
That lived. The one that died was, I think, the second one in the family. She didn't live to be this, maybe a couple of years old, 3 at that time.
Was she, were your parents living in Oklahoma at that time?
No, they was living in Siloam Springs then.
You know what she died of?
It seems to me like they tell me that it was pneumonia. I ain't sure. If I questioned very much about it, I've just forgot. Since she was quite a bit older than I was, or would have been if she'd lived, I probably didn't question too much about it. I knew where she was buried in the cemetery, where she was buried, but I never did know right where her grave was. I never could go.
Which cemetery was that?
Up near Watts. I don't know what the name of it is, but it was near Watts.
What would have been the next child after Ola?
That was myself. I was the next child. Lester, he was next. And then Lewis, he was the baby boy. Well, he was the baby child. He was the last child.
And so you were born in Arkansas, and then after that, would have Lester been born in the once you parents moved to Oklahoma?
I think he was born in Arkansas.
Arkansas also. And Lewis?
I'm pretty sure Lewis was born in Arkansas. Pretty sure he was. I couldn't tell you the place where either one of them was born. See, they had midwives then. They didn't go to the hospital. Sometimes they couldn't get a hold of a doctor, and they had to use these here midwomen.
Were you born with midwife?
I
the
don't
help
know.
of a midwife?
I don't know. I don't know how many the children was or how many weren't.
You weren't born in a hospital, though?
No.
Born at home?
Just at home, all I know.
Yeah. Is Willie or any of the other brothers and sisters, or any of them still living in the Lee Creek area?
No. He's dead. My oldest brother's dead, and my next brother, he lives at Pea Ridge near Bentonville. And my youngest brother lives at Fillmore, California.
Is Pearl or Ole still here?
No, oldest dead and Pearl's at Tulsa.
Did any of your brothers and sisters marry people from this area?
Well, I'll have to say originally no. Well, now my youngest, both my brothers did. My youngest brother next to me, he married a girl down here from around the Nycut vicinity.
That was Lester?
Uh-huh. And Lewis, he married a girl from over close to, well, if I could think of anything when I wanted to. But way down on Lee's Creek, I forget the name of the little old place down there close to where she was born.
Rocky Point?
Yeah, I'll say Rocky Point would be about the closest area that I can describe. And that's about as much as I know about her life.
Well, what was Lester's wife's name? And he married right here in Nycut.
Oh, Melvin Crow. And the other boy's wife was named Maggie Taps.
That's Lewis? Did Willie marry?
Yeah, he married a girl who lived in Arkansas. She's dead and buried up there in Arkansas. Within about 2 miles of where she was born.
Yeah, what town was that?
Well, it's just up there in that vicinity. I don't know what they call it. It's kind of in between the Uniontown and Natural Dam on Lee Street.
Yeah.
But I don't know what vicinity the name of it was.
What was her name?
Clary Trenum.
Did Willie and Clary have any children?
One boy.
One boy.
Hayden. He lives, I guess, in Oregon. Was the last chance I had of him. Melvin, Lester, they got several children. I couldn't tell you who all they had. And Lewis and his wife had one daughter. She lives out there close to them, but I don't know the name of the town.
Fillmore, California. Yeah. When did Lewis leave the Lee Creek area?
Oh, about 25 years ago or something near that. Maybe longer than that. Close to 30, I would say.
Did he leave with the intentions on staying out there, or he just packed up and left?
No, I really think they left with the intention of coming back. They left seeking work. But I think after they got out there and they decided maybe to stay a while, and they just kept staying. And I guess now he'll spend the rest of his life there. I figure he will. Yeah. He keeps saying he's coming back on a visit, but I don't think he will. He's lost his health, and I don't think he'll even undertake it.
Did Pearl marry a man from here? She's in Tulsa now.
Well, they was in Oklahoma when they married. She married a man by the name of Phelps, Dr. Phelps.
Scott Phelps.
In the short community was then. And that's just about all I can tell you about him.
Yeah. Did they have children? Scott and Pearl?
Oh yeah, they had several children that they all ran out there about Tulsa. From there young way, California. And I couldn't attempt to tell you.
All right. All right. How about your own children? Did you have? How many children did you?
One of my boys, my oldest boy, is named Jody. He lives in Great Bend, Kansas. He's been there for all years. And Stanley, he's in the Mulrow community. And Minnie, she's at Tahlequah. She works. Well, I can't tell you what it is. It's something there near about the college. In the college work, but I can't tell you what the name of it is.
Yeah.
And the next girl is Apparently. She lives in Hutchinson, Kansas. And the other daughter, she lives right down here. Her man works at the Reams, and she works at Tucker Duck.
What is her first name?
Harley.
I thought you mentioned that you had a daughter by the name of Carolee that was living in Hutchinson, Kansas.
Well, that's my mistake. It's Harley does live at Hutchinson. And the next daughter is Genevieve. She lives at Dory, Arkansas. She works at Dixie Cup and has for years.
Dixie Cup Company? Dixie Cup.
And the next daughter is Willamay. She's the one that lives down here.
All right.
She works at Tucker Duck, and her husband works at Reams.
That's Earl Workman. Just curious, what is Tucker Duck?
Well, they make more, if I understand it, these here sport products, like these cots and swings and, well, I don't know what all they do make, but I know they make a lot of these folding cots and chairs.
Duck in the sense of canvas. Canvas material.
Stuff like that. I know they make that, and what else they make, I wouldn't try to explain it, but I don't know.
Well, how old were you when your parents and your family moved from the Comstock place?
Why, it's all through ignorance. I don't do it like that.
Yeah. That's another reason for me keeping a note form so that we can keep the information orderly.
Yeah.
And so you moved to Oklahoma and when you're about 5. That's about right?
I guess I've lived in Oklahoma ever since, as far as I know. And in Sequoia County the biggest part of the time.
Whereabouts in Oakdale in relation to that old Oakdale school? Did you live?
Well, just the first school that I ever went to was over here It's short, near where Luther Partain lives now.
Mm-hmm.
Just almost in the same spot where his house is. It was the first school I ever went to.
I see.
And the next school was at Oakdale, and that's all. I never did go but to two schools, and they was both one-room schoolhouses at the time that I went to.
How many years did you go to short school?
I don't know. I wouldn't attempt to tell how many years I went to either one of them, or I just slipped my mind, and I never tried to keep up with it.
Can you recall the teacher's name there at Short?
Let's see.
Any good stories about the teacher?
Well, I can't tell too many good ones or too many bad ones. Most of the teachers seem like to be pretty good people as far as I knew. My first teacher, I remember, was named Lena Hurt. I know we all had a lot of laughs about that, about she had hurt you when she whipped you, but she never did whip me. And another teacher there was John Gully, that I thought was an extra nice man. And I believe that's all the teachers that I'll try to name right now.
And both of them were from Short School?
Yeah, at that short school, but I don't know where they lived at that time. I don't know. More likely they lived in the community somewhere, but I don't know where.
Was the Short School a single room school?
It was that time.
How did they all the classes put together?
Well, the classes went from they instead of using Head Start then, they called it chart class, and it went from there to the 8th grade. And whenever they graduated out of the 8th grade, that was just about it for the most of the country people. Some of them went to teaching after they got out of the 8th grade. And I believe a lot of the children then that graduated out of the 8th know more than the most of kids now after they graduate out of college.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe they know more honest book education than they know now after they get out of college. Or 2/3 of them now after they get out of college, when they start to college, they don't go for education. They go for every other purpose besides education. And when they get out, they don't know no more than they did when they started. And I guess that's enough to say about that. That ain't very much rep for college.
Yeah. Did any of your relations ever go to college?
My daughter.
Your daughter. Would that be
Minnie?
Minnie? What is Minnie doing now? Did the college help her out any at all?
Well, it helped her in a way to get jobs, but as far as book learning, I think she knows just as much as when she got through high school as she did whenever she got out of college. But it did help her to get acquainted with some of the officials that might have insisted her getting a job there around the college, you see. And, Mama, do you know the name of a place that Minnie works, what it is?
No, I don't know.
Well, I sure don't. I know.
Some kind of state building. I don't know what it is.
Well, it links up with the college some way or another, but I don't know.
It's there on the college campus. I don't know what it is.
Well, if it didn't, it wouldn't be there. If it didn't link up with the college, it'd be somewhere else.
Well, when
But
you're
I wouldn't have the least idea. I wouldn't attempt to mention what it is.
when you were going to Short school, were you living in Short?
No, I was living over across from the Reeder Ford, about a quarter of a mile north of the Reeder Ford.
Yeah.
And we didn't go on bus either.
Were you able to get to school a good portion of the
A
time? when
good
you're supposed
portion
to?
of the time. Sometimes, see, we had to cross Big Lee's Creek.
Yeah.
And just about the only time we missed was whenever the water was, real high, dangerous to try to cross in a boat or something. But most of the time, we made it to school. We didn't miss too much of the time.
Yeah. Was that before Oakdale started? Why didn't you go up to Oakdale?
No, we went to both places at different times. But whenever we moved from moved out of Short precinct, well, we moved over there, see, across the Reeder Ford.
Uh-huh.
Well, we just kept going to Short till that term of school was out.
Uh-huh.
Well, whenever that term expired, the next term, why, we went to Oakdale, and I ain't sure that, seemed like we went back to Short one term. I ain't sure. We might have kept going on to Oakdale the rest of the time that I went to school.
So did you live anywhere between the time you were living just north of Reeder Ford and Comstock Place over in Arkansas?
Yeah, we lived on what we called the Bo Montgomery Place. Kurt Sanger owns it now. That settlement back up there, across from where they got those soybeans planted?
Yeah.
Back across Lee's Creek there? Well, it borders the farm on the creek, right under the bluff there. And then we moved down to the Curry Place. It's known by now. It was known by the Nelson Place at that time. We moved down there, and then we moved from there over to where I was raised till I married. It is just up a mile or so from Big Lee's Creek. I don't know what vicinity you would call it in. Just back up there in the jungles is all I know.
All right, so when you first moved to Oklahoma and your family, first place you moved into, was that the Bo Montgomery place?
No, the first place we moved into that I recall was up on close to Big Lee's Creek, was called a wait now, let me study. Bowling place. From there to the Mark Snow place. That was in Arkansas, though the Snow place was. And then we moved from there. Now that's before I was married, see, that I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
And that was from there to the Andy Rogers place.
From the Mark Snow place to the Andy Rogers place. Which Andy Rogers place would that be? Would that be where he... across from his post office?
Well,
that's where he lived.
I guess it would be counted just about due north of where he lived at the time he owned the post office. Well, and then we moved from there on up a mile further, I guess, from where the post office was. And then we moved from there over here just east, I guess, of where Junior Jeremiah lives now. And I don't know how many years we lived there, but we lived there several years. And from there to the Minnie Wheeler place, and from there to the Seaboat place over on Polecat Creek,
And from there up Polecat, and then from Polecat Creek over on Francis Woody Place, and then from the Francis Woody Place back to Polecat Creek in the same house.
Same place. On up the creek.
Up Polecat Creek, as far up as there's any settlements. And then from there to here. And that's it. You run it to the end without stop.
Well, I'm sort of interested in finding out which localities, some of the houses I know of. We've surveyed them.
Well, give me a question.
All right.
And
Bowling place. You mentioned that's still in
Bowling. That's way up Big Lee's Creek. It's
Is it in Arkansas or Oklahoma?
yeah, Arkansas. Way up Big Lee's Creek. I guess it would be northwest of Uniontown. And then from there to the Mart Snow Place. That would still be north of Uniontown, but not quite so far.
All right, the Andy Rogers place, that would be north of post office. Would that be the double log cabin known as Winnie Rogers cabin, or is it one further north than that? I know of two houses still north of that.
Well, now, I don't know. That double log cabin is that house off to the left and a little bit north from where the post office is. Is that a log building there?
It doesn't look like it today, but it was redone.
Redone. Well, the Rogers place that we moved to was just a little bit north and maybe just a little bit east of where the post office was whenever they taken it out.
And that would be north of that log cabin then?
Yeah, would be. No, just about due east of that log cabin.
I see.
Just about due east.
All right. Well, that old short road coming out north from Andy Rogers' post office going up towards the edge of Creektown Bluff, would it be along that road? Would it be, was it adjacent to that road?
Well, just the one coming out on the road that they are there now, it would be north ahead. And the one that goes on up the creek, used to, there ain't much road there now, only just going up to pastures. It would be east ahead. Oh, it just was a very small building, a log building with 2 side rooms on it. Was on a house that was of it, and there's no sign of it there now.
Was there a dug well?
No, I don't think so. I think we carried water from a spring back just a little bit south of the house. If I remember right, only in time of dry weather, and then we carried water from down at the Winnie Rogers place where you talk about those double log houses. I think we carried water from there after it got to, the dry part of the year.
So the house, was it a log cabin or was it
log?
Wood.
Log.
It was a log cabin.
But the side rooms was box side rooms.
Box side rooms. You were still living here with your parents then?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know how old it was. It was right in there sometime or another. I started school.
Was the Andy Rogers post office, was it working at that time?
Oh, no. There was no post office there.
That's later in time?
Post office was at Short at that time.
All right.
Near about just a little bit It was that away from the mound. Now, what direction would that be?
Well, you're now looking east.
Well, that would have been east from the mound.
The store? Would it be downstream or upstream? Lee Creek runs north-south right next to the mound, down on the bottoms.
Well, it was just a little ways. You know that road there where the road sports, one comes from the bridge and that and it goes across there. It's just quarter of a mile right down that way.
Yeah.
Towards the
short branch.
Yeah.
All right, that would be south then.
Well, that's where it was.
All right. That's it. And the post office was then in that building.
In that building.
And who was running that store at the time?
Well, let me study. Let me study. I can't remember who was running the store at that time.
That was the closest store to obtain provisions and all for the family.
Right. Some of the Comstocks run it some of the time, but now I don't know if it... And then there was a Miller owned it. And then there was a Branson that owned it. And then there was Lindsay Peace that owned it. Now, I don't know if there was anybody owned it between Lindsay Peace and a man named Richardson or not. I think it went busted while Richardson moved there. I think they closed it out. And there never was a store back there anymore. Bob Jeremiah might have worked it a while before it closed out. But Jeremiah, he owned a store later on up there close to where Bus Jeremiah lives now. You know where he lives.
Yeah.
And then that just about wound the store up till Mose Paris moved the store from Long down there at the end of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And he stayed there for several years and then moved it up there where it is now.
Mm-hmm. So how does that fit in with Andy Rogers' post office and his little store?
It's all later.
They were all later than the post office?
No, earlier, after the post office. Now wait, let's see, where the post office come in at after Andy Rogers got shed of it. Eller, where'd the post office go after Andy Rogers quit handling it? Did they take the post office out long about the time he was... It went from Andy Rogers's to Mose Paris's. It went from Andy Rogers's to Mose Paris's. And then from Mose Paris's, they took it out. Well, they closed it then after it went from Paris's.
All right, well, before you mentioned you lived at Andy Rogers' place, and that's the one we figured was east of that Winnie Rogers' cabin.
Yeah.
Then you mentioned you said you moved 1 mile further north.
That's right. Just still yet on the same Rogers farm, but just further north.
All right. And it's not so far that it's up on the beginning of Creektown Bluff. So.
No, it's still in Lee's Creek. You might say bottom.
Is it close to the creek that flows there, the Cedar Hollow branch?
Well, it was kind of in between
Lee's Creek and Cedar Hollow. They come together just north of where we live there.
Uh-huh.
You've been there, have you? Where Cedar Branch is?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, we live just south of where they come together. Where Cedar Branch run into. See, you follow Cedar Branch, you go in the east and come out up towards Creektown, way up there. I've been plumb up the holler as far as it goes from to the head of it and to the mouth of it. But it's been years ago. I was just a kid.
Yeah. I had heard that there might have been a grist mill up there on a spring that flows into Cedar Hollow Branch. Can you recall anything like that?
Well, if it was way before my day. I wouldn't dispute it, or they could have been, but it was way before my day.
Then after that location, then you would move 1 mile east to Junior Jeremiah. That's where Junior's living today, right near Duncan's cabin.
Right.
And 1 mile east would be, I guess, a little bit west of
the mound.
Andy Rogers' cabin's post office there.
Yeah, I guess it would be west. Since I moved away, I've lost track of my direction.
You know who owned the building at that time?
That we lived in up there? I'll tell you in a minute. A fellow by the name of Hagens. Tom Hagens.
Is that the same Tom Hagen that Hagen Mountain
Right,
named for?
right.
Well, and then the house that you had lived in, that was where Cedar Hollow Branch and Lee's Creek comes together. What you know who owned that house or anything about it, so we could sort of associate it?
Rogers.
That was Winnie
I
Rogers'
understood
place.
the heir of Andy Rogers.
Could you describe that house a little bit? Was it a box house or log cabin?
No, I won't say for sure.
Uh-huh.
But I believe it was a log cabin with built-on side rooms out of native sawed lumber. But I won't say that for sure, but I believe I'm right.
Yeah. Then when you moved to Tom Hagen's place, that you mentioned he was the owner, was that what kind of house was
a
that?
log house with 2 box rooms on it.
Once again. You know which way the Tom Hagen's place would have faced? So we can sort of identify it with
East?
it faced east.
East.
And with was it 2 chimneys or 1 chimney?
1 chimney in the north end.
How far south of the bluff to the north would you estimate it to be?
From that Reeder Bluff. Well, I'd put it somewhere around a mile and a quarter.
Was there a barn associated with the building?
Oh, that's what we had to use for a barn, but it was just one little log building with a shed built on it. No wooden box stuff or nothing.
But it was separate from the house. And was the barn, what location
North.
was north?
North.
And was there a dug well there at that place?
It was.
And where was it in relation to the barn and the house?
Well, it was just south of the house. Now wait now, let me study. It might. No, I'll have to say it was just, let's see now, it was more or less southeast of the house, I believe.
It was just 8 or 10 yards from the house.
And I think I'm familiar with that place, and I think it's how far north of 101 would you estimate it to be? And was 101 there at that time, or a road going where 101 is?
Yeah, it was there at that time, but it wasn't blacktopped or nothing. It'd be 3/4 of a mile.
At that time when you were living there, was that road that's now 101? Was it as used as any of the other east-west roads, or was the one further down towards the Salt Branch Creek
No,
used
no,
more?
I think that was the most used road. That's about. They just about quit using that when it come down the holler there, short bridge. They just about completely quit using it on it. Maybe just the people that lived right up there close.
Was there a reason for that?
Well, not that I would know, unless it just didn't want to cross that branch, or maybe that other was a smoother road or something. I just wouldn't be able to comprehend just what would have been the reason.
All right, from Tom Hagen's place, then you said you moved to the Minnie Wheeler home place.
That was over here close to the cemetery. This
Seabolt.
cemetery, Seabolt Cemetery. Just like the rest of them, a log building with box side rooms.
How close was it to Seabolt Cemetery?
It wasn't a quarter, half a quarter.
Which direction?
West. Due west.
So it would be between what is today Bellefonte School and Seabolt Cemetery.
No, it'd be back this way from the cemetery, or
sort of north.
well, now let me get my direction straight. Which direction is the short, or the Bellefonte School from that cemetery?
It would be to the northwest.
Northwest.
And there would be a branch flowing between them.
I don't know. I'm bum puzzled. It seems to me like if the cemetery ought to be southwest or southeast. But anyhow, I'll say we live west of the cemetery.
Were you still with your parents at that time?
No, me and my wife.
At which location did you get married and move to?
The first location we moved to when we got married was plumb off of yonder in the
Seabolt Place on Polecat? That's the next one you have here on the list.
That Seabolt place over there on Polecat, that'd be. But then we moved from there up way up on Polecat. That would be in, they called it the Scratch Out community at that time.
They built that either that year or the year before.
I reckon they call that Seabolt place where we lived over there. I reckon they called it the Short community. It's right smart ways off. But I reckon that's what they called it. That's all I know.
See, the Belfont School wasn't there at that time. It was on over on this here